Hi everyone, my name is Caitlin and today I'm going to be presenting on knowledge building and virtual reality. So there's a few reasons why I chose this topic. First of all, earlier this year I read Ready Player One and I was absolutely fascinated by the immersive world in which the students went to school. They went to school in virtual reality and basically the metaverse. So I have been obsessed with thinking about how VR is going to change education ever since. Secondly, when I was researching about problem-based learning, Gay and Huang's article talked about the potential of immersive environment. So I became curious about using virtual reality. And finally, one of my good friends is a college instructor and she uses VR. So it's been really interesting to hear her talk about her experiences over the last few years, and I'm very inspired by her. So, firstly, some of the key principles of knowledge building. One of the foundational principles is about idea improvement. So, in knowledge building, learners share ideas with one another, and the goal is to build on one another's ideas, critique and ask questions with the goal of improving the ideas and ideally creating something new. So, knowledge building leverages the perspectives and the expertise of learners. And through knowledge building, they develop collective responsibility over improving ideas and creating new ideas. And in this model, assessment is built into the process rather than being separate from the process. Some of the key principles of virtual reality. The first is that VR has rich, immersive, and authentic contexts. And these are created through what Chang et al. Call a realistic multisensory simulation. So if you take a look in the diagram, you can see that there's a graphic card, a sound card, that the person using the system has their hands on a wheel and a pedal that are allowing them to interact physically with the world. And they're wearing a headset that has an eye tracker, a headphone. I would assume it would have a microphone as well. So it's a multi-sensory experience that creates the world. Another key element of virtual reality is the use of avatars. Avatars allow students to present themselves in a way that they feel comfortable with to help foster identity expression and help them form meaningful relationships with their peers. And avatars encourage interaction. So in interacting in a virtual world, sophisticated systems track eye movements and hand movements. So, and other body language. So that helps people using VR to communicate more like in person. So it helps to foster those relationships and create a natural learning environment. So just to make some connections between the two, knowledge building requires a strong community of learners in order to ensure a lot of interactions and to have that safe space where students can critique one another's ideas and build on them. And virtual reality, as evidenced in this photo, really allows people to express themselves and interact in exciting ways. So I think that it can help foster a strong community. Secondly, in a virtual world, because it's so interactive, it really gives learners the opportunity to interact with the virtual space and to make observations and gain knowledge that way. So it's a really exciting environment in which students are interacting with each other and which everyone is interacting with the virtual world and making observations and learning. And finally, I think there's a really great opportunity in virtual reality to share some concrete artifacts and some really inspiring artifacts that can help represent ideas. And also, students can share artifacts in a virtual reality setting like a breakout room or doing a presentation, and there's lots of VR tools that can support that. Here's an example of a non-immersive VR experience. So this is in the Amazon, and so you can see that you can interact at a 360-degree angle. You can make observations of the world, get a good sense of scale. So while I think this is exciting, what really excites me are immersive experiences that really use all of the senses and where you interact with your avatar through the world. Here are some of the current impacts that I found in my research. So a lot of programs already use VR for workplace preparation, for example, in the medical and science disciplines, where it allows learners to try things and do experiments without some of the negative consequences of doing them in real life if something went wrong. And also, currently, the construction field uses VR quite a lot. And in this image, you can see a student learning how to build in a virtual world. Another aspect of the research is that VR is shown to improve motivational aspects and promote positive social, collaborative, and community building results. And you can see in this picture in the breakout room that, you know, this is an interesting and a vivid, rich environment in which to meet your peers online. And finally, the research does show that structuring VR experiences can support students. So, for example, Chang et al. Used a two-tier testing strategy, and O'Connor found that the teacher was able to interact with students in a more personal way and have a strong presence in virtual reality. So they were able to identify problems more quickly and intervene with new lessons. Personally, I think that virtual reality can remove some of the barriers in online collaboration and create a really nice environment for knowledge building. So that's really exciting for me. I always am thinking about how can I make virtual reality cost effective. So I know that I can use videos like the ones I just showed and non-immersive experiences. I think it would be really exciting to take students to a VR studio and allow them to have a more physical and vivid and immersive experience. And I've also heard that Google Glasses are a great way in order to get started with VR, and I could just get a small group of them to integrate them into a blended environment. Finally, I am, always thinking with constructive approaches about how I can scaffold learning to address increased cognitive load. And Chang et al. Found that with VR, there was more of a cognitive load on students because they were learning how to navigate the environment. So that's something to take into account with virtual reality experiences. I think a blended model would work really well for VR and knowledge building. So in the synchronous sessions, you can provide essential knowledge and you can provide training to learners. The instructor can also model knowledge building strategies and, using sentence stems in order to respond to ideas. So there's a really great opportunity for modeling. And most importantly, the virtual experiences in the VR world should be synchronous so students can meet each other online in an exciting way. And I think paired with asynchronous, this allows students to support one another in using technical tools, for example, through a discussion board. And also a key aspect of knowledge building is reflecting on ideas. So with the asynchronous element, students can reflect on the knowledge built in the VR world, and then they can post artifacts later. And that gives them time to reflect, build on ideas, really dig deeper with the ideas. So I couldn't create a presentation about virtual reality without trying to create my own avatar. I think I would feel very confident moving through a virtual world in this character. I wish I could add some more personalized details like some cat ears. However, I did notice that this program prioritized having diverse types of clothing to represent different cultures. So I thought that that was more important than being able to add cat ears. So thank you so much for watching. Here are my references, and I will also include them in a PDF. Thanks.